Hey everyone, what is going on? My name's Archer Live, and after recently watching the Hitman Agent 47 movie from a couple of years ago on Netflix, I decided it'd be a fun idea to try and do an Agent 47 build in Payday 2. Also bearing in mind the fact that I did say that I wanted to try and do some more builds for like TV characters and film characters, all that kind of thing. So I thought I'd kick it off with Agent 47, having watched the Hitman film. So I've done a build here, and it's kind of a pseudo-stealth one, which is something I've not really tackled before on or off camera. It's a really interesting thing to be able to have a stealth build that is able to work in loud if it goes that direction, but it doesn't quite have all the stealth skills to be able to do every single stealth heist. It's kind of a blend in between. It's kind of a mix, but I do quite like it, and I think it works reasonably well. And the only reason I'm Houston here is because I think it looks good visually. I'll be back to Sydney, don't worry, because I cannot stray away from her for too long because of the favourite character thing. And my English is getting slurred again. Great, we've been recording for about a minute and I'm already messing up. That's fun. No, right, so, as always, we're going to go through the skills, and then we're going to go through some weapons, and I'll give you guys my thoughts on the build itself. Obviously, because this is a character build, don't take it to be the best build I'm ever going to make, because it's done with a certain objective or certain goal in mind that isn't survivability in Payday 2. Although I do think it works quite well, I will say that. Maybe not one down viable quite. I have tried it, it does work, but it's debatable, so just keep that in mind. But we're going to move in, and first off, we're going to look at the skills and see what we've picked up. Okay, now because this is a pseudo-stealth build, there's going to be some traits from loud builds and some traits from stealth builds, kind of mixed together in a weird little blend that actually works a lot better than it probably should. To start off with, I'm going to go through the skills that don't really need much debate or much discussion, then I can take the things that really do need debate, like bit by bit, and I can go in different segments. So first off, we got Inspire by getting Basic Combat Medic, Aced Quick Fix, Aced Combat Doctor, and Aced Inspire. In Technician, we got Aced Steady Grip, and in Fugitive, we got Aced 9 Lives and Aced Swan Song. Now, I've talked about all those skills in the past, I don't really need to sit there and go over it again, because it's to the point now where if I do explain it, you'll probably be able to recite what I'm going to say before even I know what I'm going to say. So, I've even mentioned the Swan Song nerf in the last build video, so there's really no point at all in me going into that. So instead, we're going to start with the Go skill tree, and we're going to discuss the Shinobi subtree first. Now, with the exception of Basic Chameleon and Ace Cleaner here, we've picked up Ace Sixth Sense and Ace Nimble with the idea that they might work as well in loud gameplay as well as stealth. Nimble more than Sixth Sense, because not always Sixth Sense will kind of affect it and have an impact. Depends very much on the heist, but Nimble is quite handy just having faster lockpicking in a loud heist, because, you know, you can get shot a lot by cops while you're trying to pick open lockboxes or lockpick safes or just open doors, for instance. So if you want to be able to get through faster and not get shot at, this is a handy skill to have. And obviously in stealth, it holds a really good bit of weight. And I also didn't realise until before I started recording this video that this had camera loop as the basic. I don't pay attention to these things anymore, because in a stealth build, I just grab all the skills in Shinobi and don't even think about it. So having camera loop as well, that's quite a handy one for stealth gameplay, so that's quite nice. But again, the lockpicking works very well. It translates very well over to loud gameplay, so I don't need to explain it much more than that. And Sixth Sense, like I said, doesn't apply to every single heist, but things like Expert Driver may apply to certain heists where you want to avoid an escape, especially on one down, because they're an absolute nightmare. But they are useful in both stealth gameplay and loud, and that's why I think it works quite well, because if it is a pseudo-stealth build where you're prepared for the inevitability, English needs practice, the inevitability of things going wrong, and you're ready for that and you can face it, then have the skills to accommodate it as well. It just makes sense to me. Okay, so in the Artful Dodger subtree now, we got Ace Duck and Cover, Ace Parkour, Ace Inner Pockets, with the idea of, you know, having more concealment and running faster, but mainly to get up to Sneaky, because I've gone for a rogue perk deck here to go with the dodge aspect for when things go loud, and also low detection risk, then complement stealth, because it's much harder to get spotted by guards, etc. So, you know, it's kind of like a double whammy, and I quite like how it works, and it's like I said, it's probably worked a lot better than it should have done. And then basic second wind and Aced Optical Illusions. You might not think Optical Illusions makes much of a difference, but we're currently at 3 detection risk, and if you get rid of that Ace, we go to 9. So it does make quite a big difference, and that would start to impact Sneaky by 2 dodge points. You could say it doesn't make much of a difference, and you could try and roll without it, but personally, I like having that minimum detection risk for stealth and also the most dodge possible. And then finally, for the Gunslinger subtree of Fugitive, we got Basic Equilibrium, Aced Gun Nut for the increased rate of fire with pistols, Aced Akimbo for general improvements to Akimbo pistols, Aced Desperado for faster reloads, and then Basic Trigger Happy for that very nice damage boost that's stackable multiple times. Would have worked really well with one-handed talent, but unfortunately I'm not quite happy with moving any points around to accommodate that skill. I like everything where it is. Obviously a lot of you guys may disagree with certain skills that I've picked up here. As always, it's a matter of personal preference and what you guys like and don't like, and I totally understand that. That's fine. This is just my take on Agent 47, and it may be completely different to anyone else who might have done it in the past or is going to do it, for instance. But yeah, I would like to have one-handed talent because these pistols aren't the highest damage output. They're not really low. They're kind of in the middle field, which will probably give you a guess as to what I might have picked. But either way, we'll talk about that in a second. So if you do happen to move skill points around, I would recommend moving them to here. That'd be my first choice if I had a few extra skill points because it would really, really benefit the guns. But yeah, we picked up a bunch of pistol skills, and you might be wondering why. Well, if you don't know that, you don't know Agent 47 because yes, we've recreated his traditional silver baller pistols. So that's what we're going to be taking in our inventory, which is what we're going to switch over to now. I'll talk about what attachments I've picked up, and we'll go from there. Okay, so for our primary, we picked up the Akimbo Crosskill pistols. Now, I obviously will just say very quickly that between different games and different films for Hitman, the silver ballers have changed how they look over time. Not drastically, but, you know, textures change here and there between different media. So, if it doesn't quite look like the game that you played, whereas silver ballers looked a particular way, just keep in mind it might be slightly different. But this is the way that I've gone for with the silver ballers. We picked up the Rock-Tech suppressor, a concealment boost, an ergo grip, and a long vented slide. Now, there is only one little tiny debate about whether or not the Rock-Tech suppressor is better or worse than the standard issue. I've gone Rock-Tech because I kind of think that it's better with the suppressors being longer and thinner. Just kind of fix the sleek look of the guns, and I just like going down that road. As for a gadget, I would have put the micro laser on because it doesn't change any stats at all, and you know it's nice to have a pistol laser help you aim. But there isn't one on the guns in the image that I've gone for, and so I've just kept it off entirely. So very much up to debate as to which way you want to go, but I've chose to leave it off. And then because we want to use the same thing in our secondary, we've picked up the exact same pistol, the Crosskill pistol, as our secondary, with the exact same set of attachments, which is, again, the Rock-Tech suppressor, the ergo grip, and the long vented slide, as well as a concealment boost. You can get a marksman slide on this pistol, marksman sight, sorry, but because we don't have it on the Akimbo primaries, I've not put it on the secondaries. I will admit I was actually going to go into the black market there to show you the attachments, but I don't need to, so I thought I'll show you a nice little preview of the gun, because look, it's a silver baller, it looks quite cool. And I'm going to move on because I'm obsessing too much over guns. Let's move forward and look at the melee weapon. We've picked up the Troutman knife. Now, I don't want to go too much into debating a melee weapon because it really doesn't matter all that much, but my choice behind this was because there isn't a fiber wire equivalent in Payday 2, unless you want to go for the chain whip, but that's just a bit weird and requires DLC, so I'll go for the free option. This is the only knife I could find that looks nice and sleek and has a black handle, so that was my only real choice. I'm not too keen on the melee animation, whereas like slashing to the side, but I don't really care enough to want to pick a different melee weapon or go through like 5 different knives to see what the slashing animations are. I really don't care. So that's the knife I've picked up. Throwable, the throwing knife. If you don't own the John Wick weapon pack, go for say the Ace of Spades. Something sleek that you can just like throw and silently kill an enemy. Unless you want to go loud and throw something like concussion grenades, but I don't really see Agent 47 rolling around with grenades under his suit jacket. So, you know, I wouldn't really go down that road. I'd go for something silent that can kill enemies in stealth, but is also quite deadly in loud. So, on top of that, we've also got the Rogue Perk deck, the 2-piece suit, and 2 Doctor Bags, but obviously because you've picked up Cleaner in the Ghost skill tree subset of Shinobi, you can also bring 2 body bag cases, but it's very much pick one or the other. There isn't a jack of all trades here. There's no way in hell I would have been able to afford that. I already talked about one-handed talent missing from the build. So, it's very much, depending on which heist you do and how much of it is going to be stealth compared to loud, pick the body bag case or the Doctor Bag case, or just Doctor Bags on its own, accordingly. Choose which one best fits the scenario, and go forward from there. We're also going to very quickly change my character, because I don't like Houston very much at all, apart from the Don't Act Dumb meme, so we're just going to go with Sydney real quick there, and replace Houston to Jimmy. I don't know why that changed, that's a bit weird. Yeah, so back as Sydney, but yeah, I had Houston originally because I liked the way he looked as the whole Hitman thing, but the gameplay Sydney, as always, favourite character. Don't judge me, because you know that's how I feel, and if you don't, now you do. But that sums up my entire inventory and the pistols and the skills that I've brought. And now we're going to move into a little bit of gameplay. I'll talk a little bit more about the build. So let's move into that, and I'll share my final thoughts on what we've created. The Agent 47 build. Now, as I said at the start of this video, this is mainly an attempt to recreate a character from a video game series in Payday 2. As such, it's not going to have all the traits you'd expect for a loud build. It's not going to have every single skill you might want, and it may not be the best one for survivability, but actually, on the contrary, I think it works really well, and I've said it's potentially viable on 1 down, which I don't need to remind you, a lot of my builds aren't. They're normally Death Wish and below. So it's quite nice to have one that, you know, accidentally works well on 1 down. And again, pseudo-stealth, I've never used that term before in Payday 2, and yet I've used it so many times now in a single video. But the pseudo-stealth feature of this is, again, the main strong point, to be honest, and that's where I'm going to open the good side of this build. Because it's the option that you actually can do stealth and do loud on high difficulties, and you can interchange the two. If you fail, it's not all of a sudden, oh great, we failed the stealth, got to restart and repay for the pre-planning. It's, oh, things have gone loud, okay, change the game plan, let's carry on, let's go with what we've done. And it's really satisfying. You will think it wouldn't be as satisfying as it is, but actually the ability to not have to restart the second you fail a stealth, unless it's stealth only, but that's by the by, it feels really nice, and I really like it, and I think it's quite cool. The pistols themselves, I quite like. They aren't the highest damage output, as I've said before, but they work reasonably well. On one down, I wish they had a bit more damage, but on Death Wish and below, completely happy. And I just like the way the whole build works out overall. Having the 2-piece suit and having 60 dodge is really, really sweet, and it works really well on high difficulties, as I've already said. The only key downside really to this build is ammo pickup. The pistols aren't fab, I've got to be honest. You will have to use an ammo bag from time to time to restock, and you can't really just switch between primary and secondary and expect that you'll recover all the ammo in the gun you're not using. It doesn't quite work out that way, but that's why ammo bags exist. I swear I've got to the point now where I'm like, never use an ammo bag, it's a cardinal sin, always have good ammo pickup. No, you can use ammo bags sometimes, it's like doctor bags, they're there to be used, so obviously you're going to have to use them a bit more this time, but you've got the doctor bags, you can cover your survivability a bit better with those, and I felt like that was a better option than ammo bags because, I don't know, Inspire is just much more useful, and without Inspire this build probably would not have been one down viable at all. So I've tried to kind of, you know, softball it and change it in a way so that the downside is not as bad as it could be, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's where we've gone for with this. That's why we've gone for the non-ammo build, we've gone for a doctor style build. Because really, you can't imagine Hitman being a doctor, but it just works better in a Payday sense. So that's why we've gone down that way. But other than that, that sums up the build. There isn't a lot else to talk about. I think it's a pretty decent recreation of Agent 47. But of course, that's only my opinion, and it's up to you guys and what you guys think about this build as well. So this is where you start leaving comments down below, letting me know what you think about the build. What's good about it, what's bad, what would you have changed, and more importantly, what characters from what films, movies, anything like that, TV shows, would you like to see me recreate another character? Ideally someone more popular so that I probably know who they are already. If it's someone that I have to research and look up, I may not get it completely right even if I look it up. Because usually you grow up with a character or you know them at least fairly well and you can recreate it. But either way, whatever suggestions you've got, leave them down below and I will sift through them, and possibly one of your suggestions could be the next build video. But other than that, thank you all very, very much for watching. I do hope you have enjoyed this video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. It's always very much appreciated. Subscribe if you are new. We're almost at 2K subscribers, and it's an absolutely scary thing to think about. In fact, by the time I put this up, we might already be at that. I don't know. I'm hoping this will be the video for tomorrow. Let's not go into upload details because that's something I should discuss off camera, because I shouldn't be talking about it because the video's already uploaded. I'm going to shut up. Okay, enough. I waffle too much. I'm just extending the gameplay as well because, I mean, you can see more of the heist as well in that sense. But yeah. Thank you all very much for watching this video. It's very much appreciated. You guys keep coming back. As I've said, comment all your thoughts down below. And other than that, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take it easy.